brings me back to another point. The pipe burst itself.
Hmm.
It's very important that if you do have a busted pipe, that you save that pipe. That
Okay.
pipe is evidence,
Okay.
which actually this is a freeze claim, and they're like, "Well,
Freeze claim.
what's the difference, right? I have
Yeah.
water in my house, but what is the result of the actual water? Well, it's the frozen busted pipe." So, um,
Hey, so I'm here today with Shane Sosa with Texas Public Adjusting. How you doing?
yeah, Rock, we're doing good, man. How are you?
We're doing all right. How did you guys survive the snow apocalypse that came through?
Uh, yeah, family. Though we had about 2.5 days without water, but only lost power for about 10 hours. But no busted pipes, unlike some of my family members.
Yeah, so we were fortunate enough to have power, running water. We didn't suffer any pipes that were burst or busted out.
Yeah,
But this obviously affected millions of people in Texas. They lost their water, their heat, and with the loss of heat came, the pipes freezing up, toilets freezing up, the water, fish tanks. I don't know if you saw that on social media where people were showing their fish tanks inside their house that were frozen.
yeah.
But nevertheless, there was tons of people that are currently suffering from busted pipes, and they really don't know what to do next. So I'm looking to ask you questions, and hopefully I can learn from this as well. So if I was a homeowner and I went through this blast and I had pipes in my ceiling or in my walls that bursted, and now I have water coming in, there's water damage. One, what should be like the first thing I should do? And two, is it worth filing a claim?
Sure. Well, it's a lot of good questions. I mean, a lot of homeowners. I mean, you want to say it's common sense, but it may not be. But obviously, to stop the water from coming in, so
Okay.
that usually means shutting off the water from the main,
Okay.
and just mitigating that water from doing more damage. And actually, it's a requirement in some policies to have a reasonable attempt to mitigate the damage. So, but I mean, there are also times where people aren't home. People were going to a friend's house because they didn't have power, and there's just things beyond their control. But if you're home, and then yeah, the first thing you want to do is obviously shut off the water.
I gotcha. What does mitigating mean? For people that don't know our industry, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah, so to mitigate obviously is just to lessen the severity, is kind of stop it. And then so if you had a fire that started in the kitchen, for example,
Okay.
one way to mitigate that fire from burning the whole house down is obviously to contain the fire as quickly as you can to mitigate the damage. So to mitigate it really just means to lessen the severity of what could happen if you just let it go without controlling it.
Gotcha. So if I got a busted pipe, should I just call a plumber and have them patch it up real quick just to
Yeah, so
to stop it?
that is the first step. Busted pipes. There's a lot of people in the Texas area that have them. So yes, the first thing you should do, obviously, shut the water off, and then get a plumber out there to fix the pipe. That's step one.
Okay. So if it being in the industry that we're in, I would probably do that and I will start documenting everything. And what I mean documenting is taking pictures of everything, right? Where the origin of the leak is at, what's being damaged. After you get a plumber to come in, patch it up, stop the water, what's the next step that people should take? Being in the industry, I would say, start ripping up your drywall, but you may say otherwise, being that you're an adjuster. So after I get a plumber out, patches it up, stops the leak, what should I do next?
So yeah, you make a good point. I mean, obviously, we're seeing photos and videos of homeowners who are just showing people, like, they're documenting the damage, not knowing they're documenting the damage, or kind of just wanting to show their friends and family what they're going through, but that actually becomes evidence to support their claim,
Okay.
just to show how bad the damage actually got. So to your point, definitely take tons and tons of photos, videos, things like that. um, and then you definitely don't want to start doing construction and getting your hands dirty, uh, until the adjuster has had time to document the loss. And sometimes it's as easy as sending in photos to the insurance, and they'll just give you the green light. That happens, occasionally, but it's actually in the policy that they have a right to investigate, and you can't prevent them from investigating the claim because they're the one who has to
Okay.
cut the check, right?
Sure.
So definitely, it may seem silly to let your house sit damaged for days or even weeks because of
Yeah.
the catastrophe. Everyone's spread so thin. Carriers are literally sending out people as fast as they can.
Right.
But there are going to be people who have this damage for 2 weeks plus, and before an adjuster gets to see it. Um, and that's just the way it is. And the unfortunate thing is the way the process needs to play out is the adjuster needs to see it, document it for themselves, so they can go back to their company and write the check.
I gotcha. So something like this, that's water damage. Is this something that would be covered in all policies? Does it vary from policy to policy? Is it even, well, we'll start there. Is a busted pipe covered under, a regular residential homeowner's policy?
So typically, there's never an always in this industry.
Right.
But I would say typically, most of the time, frozen pipes are going to be covered.
Okay.
And what a lot of people don't know is a result of this storm is that a lot of people have water damage. So they may call in a water damage claim,
Okay.
which actually this is a freeze claim. And they're like, well,
Freeze claim.
what's the difference, right? I have
Yeah.
water in my house, but what is the result of the actual water? Well, it's the frozen busted pipe. So um, you can see in the policy that sometimes there are water damage limitations, there are things like that. So it's important to make sure that you know what you're covered for, you know, you kind of know how the policy pays and that you're claiming the right thing, because the main difference between water and pipe and freeze claims are on a busted pipe. A lot of the times the pipe itself is excluded from coverage. So they'll pay for the damage the
Okay.
pipe caused, but they won't pay to actually fix the pipe. On a freeze claim, the water damage and the pipe are covered. So on a freeze claim, everything's covered. On a water damage claim, the pipe usually may not be covered.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so in a situation like this, where someone does have a freeze claim, is it best for the homeowner to call in the claim themselves, or is it best to contact a public adjuster like yourself to investigate first on your part and then call in the claim together, or what would you advise someone to do?
Right. So, I mean, obviously, the sooner we can get brought in, the better. Because what we do is we come in and we document the loss. We know how to present the claim effectively, so it gets paid promptly. I mean, that's the whole goal, right? Is to get past this damage, get made whole again, and move on. But I mean, we come in at any stage in the claim, so you can come
Okay.
in the beginning, middle, or even towards the end. But the sooner we're brought in, the better. But to answer your question, yeah, definitely file the claim as soon as you can. But also still consult with a public adjuster, like in parallel. So maybe call your insurance company and also talk to a public adjuster and just let them know and say, hey, we just filed a claim. We have a lot of damage. Can you guys help? And we can actually, review the claim, review the policy, and maybe sometimes even write an estimate before the adjuster even shows up.
I gotcha. So would you rather pick up a claim in the middle, at the end, or be brought in at the beginning of it? Like what's the best way for you and that you would recommend someone to take action?
Yeah, so I mean, in a perfect world, we like to be brought in from the beginning
Okay.
because when we come in the middle, and the reason we're coming in the middle is because people reach out to a public adjuster because they don't believe that their claim has been covered appropriately, so they're seeking help from a public adjuster. Say, hey, is this being estimated for correctly? Am I owed more money from my policy? And we do free claim reviews all the time.
Okay.
But when we come in the middle, we still have a due diligence to make sure the claim is adjusted and covered appropriately. So we can't just pick up where you left off as a homeowner. We
Right.
have to go back to square one. How did we get here? When did we get here? And literally start from square one. So if you contact us 2, 3, 4 months down the road after you've just at your wits end with your carrier, um,
Start all
that's
over.
I'm still starting all over now. We can, it's not, it's not going to take us 4 months to catch up to where you were, but when we do have to start from scratch.
You're a public adjuster, right? So can you tell me, as a public adjuster, what it is that you do and the difference between you and an insurance adjuster?
Sure. Yeah. So it's funny. I ask people all the time, do you know what a public adjuster is? And the vast majority of people say no. I think even my wife will tell you she just knows I deal with insurance companies.
Right.
But a public adjuster is an adjuster for the public or the private community. So the residential homeowner or the commercial business owner. And we have a mandatory license that we are given by the Texas Department of Insurance. We have to pass tests, continuing education,
Okay.
all those things, right? And it's not the same test as an insurance adjuster, but it's very similar.
Okay.
And what an insurance adjuster is, everyone knows what an insurance adjuster is. It's the guy who comes out and hopefully writes you a check. So it's the way to do it is, the insurance, the way we explain it is the insurance company sends out their adjuster, which has their best interest in mind. You should hire your own adjuster that has your best interest in mind. um, and that's just kind of how it is. So I mean, they're represented, you should be represented, and that's the kind of services we offer.
I gotcha. Perfect, man. So, in summary, if someone was a victim of a freeze, busted pipes, in summary, can you just sum it up from beginning to end? What someone should do?
Yeah, so the simplest term, busted pipe.
Yep.
Obviously, first turn off the water, get a plumber out, fix the leak, make sure the water comes back on. There's no other leaks. At that point, then you would file a claim,
Okay.
and try to get some approval if you can from your insurance company. Hey, and just ask them and say, hey, am I allowed to start remediation and tearing out things, or do I need to wait for you to get here? And I had a call with a client today from USAA, and they were like, oh yeah, you're going to be covered. Just start. You can start cleanup and demolition. And I told her, I said, just make sure you get that in writing, because
Yeah.
it's a he said, she said kind of deal.
Yeah.
And she did. She ended up getting in writing. But a lot of times, like I said, if you take that evidence away from the insurance company, it's the burden of proof is on the policy holder.
Yep.
So you have to show that you have damage and that the damage is covered. If you don't have the evidence to prove it, it can legitimately be denied,
Hmm.
even if it was a very legitimate claim. That brings me back to another point: the pipe burst itself.
Hmm.
It's very important that if you do have a busted pipe, that you save that pipe. That
Okay.
pipe is evidence for the freeze claim.
Okay.
So, in a catastrophe, especially in today's world, I mean, catastrophes kind of drum up potential insurance fraud cases where
And there's
people
tons of that
where,
going
where,
on.
where people might just like overfill their bathtubs, and you know you try to get a claim
Yeah.
because it's just free insurance money. Everyone insurance cutting checks left and right. So you definitely want to document all the facts and evidence, and let them have an opportunity to put their own eyes on it before you do anything. And that's the best thing. And once you have their approval, and then they'll write an estimate, uh, it would be in your best interest as a homeowner to vet that estimate with contractors and or a public adjuster. Both is fine, probably recommended. And once you get a figure that sounds acceptable to the contractor and the public adjuster, then there you go. But if you don't have a figure in mind, if the contractor says 20,000 and they're giving you 10,000, it's worth a look. Where's the discrepancy lie? And we provide those claim reviews, and see if we can help obviously close that gap.
Ton of info there, man. So, you're based out of New Braunfels, right? New
Yeah,
Braunfels, Texas.
yeah,
So,
we're located in Braunfels. We have tons of claims in San Antonio area, handfuls in Austin, DFW, all the way down to McAllen with some commercial claims.
so
So
you service
we
all of Texas.
we service all of Texas. We're state licensed.
Okay.
Um, We actually have, we're also licensed to do claims in Oklahoma as well.
Okay.
We just got licensed in Oklahoma. So, but given the drive, obviously, typically those are going to be saved for the commercial claims, the larger losses. But if, if you're local to the area and, you have a smaller size claim, we're more apt to help you out because of the local aspect of it. But,
Sure.
but if you're in DFW and it's a 4.5 hour drive one way for us, it's unfortunately it's got to be significant damage for us to work the claim. Not saying that we couldn't help or consult or even give free advice, or even refer out to a local public adjuster in the area.
Sure.
But that's just kind of let you know how, what we service and when we actually help people.
Good deal. When looking to hire a public adjuster, what should someone look for? Because I've for roofing adjusting, right? I mean, we've come across some pretty shady adjusters. So, can you recommend, our viewers, what would be something that you would recommend when looking for a public adjuster? What should they look out for when hiring someone?
Yeah, just really the experience. I mean, a good public adjuster is going to be able to obviously kind of stick to their lane.
Okay.
Uh, I'll be honest, like we haven't worked a ton of fire claims. So, I mean, if we work on a
Okay.
total fire
Mm,
claim, we'd be partnering with some of our public adjusters in our network, to just making sure that everything's covered and things like that. But we do a lot of roof claims, hail and wind in the area. A good public adjuster should probably be able to know, how the systems work. I mean, they they should know basic construction, roof systems, building code, things
I
like
gotcha.
that. And if they don't know those things, they may not be the public adjuster for you. They also
Okay.
should be able to, kind of give ideas of where the damage is in the area. I can tell you right now, all of Stone Oak down towards, Fair Oaks. I mean, I
Yeah.
know where the storms are in San Antonio because I'm
Yeah.
actively working them. So a good public adjuster should know where the damage is, what the damage looks like, what's getting paid for, what's happening in the local market from the carrier side. So
What's
they
the
should have a
average
lot of.
turnaround time?
um, it depends. I mean, we've settled claims in, less than 7 days from start to finish.
Okay, that's quick,
Um,
man. That
it is
that's that's
quick. It
that's
is
that's quick.
quick. We love those.
Yep. It's not
But
always
I
like
would
that though.
I would say on average, because a lot of times when we get involved, we're picking up and trying to clean up someone's the insurance company's mess.
Right.
So we're having to go back to square one, making sure we thoroughly document things. It's not uncommon to have a 30 to 45 day
That's
turnaround on
typically what we
settlements.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not uncommon. Now, I do have claims that go, 90 plus days, but after a while, in my opinion, and some of my peers may disagree with this, but after 90 days of having that claim, uh, you should have exhausted pretty much all options, and you're either, um, advising the client to retain an attorney, go to the appraisal process, or just give up on the claim altogether. But yeah, no public adjuster really, said depending on the circumstances, should hold a claim for more than 90 days. Obviously, the more complicated the loss, the better. But when it comes to residential, more than 90 days is too much.
Okay, so you're based out of New Braunfels. We're out in San Antonio. You cover all of Texas. How can someone get a hold of you?
Yep. So we have a Facebook page, TX Public Adjusting on Facebook.
Okay.
Our website is txpaclaims.com. So Facebook, we run local targeted ads all the time. You'll probably see it,
Okay.
and
I'm gonna
we
look out
have
for those. I want to see
yeah
your
we yeah
ads.
yeah we have good reviews on our Facebook page, and we get tagged in social media posts a lot. So you know just happy to find us, and then our phone numbers on our website, fax, email, things like that, and we do free claim reviews. So like I said, you can always email us your documents and we'll take a look. And even if you don't have a claim yet but you think you might have a claim soon, we'll look at your policy and let you know if we see any gaps in coverage, so that you don't even have to have a claim to reach out to us. You can just, hey, can you review my policy for me, and let you know what you think, and we'll do that.
Good deal. Shane, we covered tons of info today, and I think you answered all of my questions. For our viewers, I hope you learned some today. Like always, if you have something to say, drop some comments below. If you need a public adjuster or you just want a consultation, you were a victim of busted pipes or any other type of insurance claim, reach out to Shane. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next clip. Take care.
Thanks, Rock.